everyone, my name is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. So you will have noticed over the past few weeks and months that I have not really changed my style because my channel is still going to focus on stationery and bullet journaling, but I have also brought into the equation tips on YouTube and how to make your videos better and just stuff like that. And so what I really wanted to do was kind of connect YouTube and online business and stationery and bullet journaling and planning and see how it all comes together. And I think that's going to be my main focus really is how to use your bullet journal and use systems and how to integrate that with online business and prepping and planning and all of the things that we as creators do every day for our channels, for our social media posts, all of the work that goes into it. Today's video is going to be about the challenges of having a YouTube channel, which I term that relative because a YouTube channel to me has officially become an online business. So there are lots of different online businesses, and YouTube is relatively new in the field of owning your own business because it's all online and the social media aspect of it is different than most aspects of a regular business as well. A lot of the like I don't know about business and like actually learning about business at like school or anything, but I know for sure that the way that schools taught business classes before, like even 5-10 years ago, is a lot different than what it has now become and what we need to know as content creators. So what I wanted to do for you guys today is just kind of express some of the challenges that I've personally run across in having a channel about stationery and bullet journaling and planning. And if you also have a YouTube channel and you do the same things as me or similar things, maybe you have run into some of these challenges as well. This isn't so much a tips video. It's not really going to tell you how to combat that or how to make it better, but these are some of the things, especially if you are looking to start a channel and do some kind of planning or bullet journal related content. This might help you decide whether you want to continue with that or not. First of all, let's talk about the process of sharing your art on YouTube. Sharing any part of your life online is difficult. So number one, you open yourself up to criticism. And it's just the way it is. It's the world of social media. And I'm pretty sure that, I was born in 1982. So I didn't actually get a computer until I was 18. So I think it was 2001 was our very first computer. And even then, we never had, like, I wasn't exposed to YouTube until just recently. I never even watched YouTube. I was more of a reader. So I'd, focus on books and stuff like that. But it's hard sharing your life online. So there are people who will share their finances, their budget. That's hard. But in the end, really, does it really matter what anybody thinks? And this is the initial hump that you need to overcome because when you first start, not a lot of people are going to be watching you to start, right? And you have to know that, like, this may sound not mean, this might sound cold, but nobody cares at the beginning. So once you start getting a following, people will follow you for the right reasons. They'll follow you because they like what you have to say, they like your content, and you're helping them in some way. So I wouldn't worry about it when you're starting out. Who cares what anyone thinks, really, right? We're only here for a short time. You have to live your life. You have to be happy. So this is kind of where it's scary when you bring in your personal journey or your journal or your art and you share it with people. To me, art and journaling is a form of self-expression and it really is the core of who I am. So if I'm journaling something personal that it really does show, whether I'm going through a hard time in my life or it shares personal stuff and I choose to share that online, I'm exposing myself to people and their judgments and criticism and hopefully not hate because we really truly do need less of that in the world today. And especially where we are right now, it's really scary. We need to be kind to each other. We need to express gratitude for the things that we're happy about, that we're all here and hopefully most of us are healthy and living as well of a balanced life as we can. So to me, creating art is one of the best forms or outlets of like self-expression that we can do. So when somebody judges you for that, it's really scary because now you feel like a failure or you feel like what you do isn't good enough. And I'm here to tell you that that's bull crap. Like, don't worry about that because it doesn't matter how good you can draw, it doesn't matter how good you can do artistic things. That's not the point. If you're sharing like planning stuff, bullet journal related content, whatever you do in your bullet journal, you should be doing for your self care, for your creativity, your productivity, whatever you're using it for. You shouldn't be concerned about what other people want to see or what they like, because if they like you for who you are, and that's kind of the important part here, they need to like you for your content, for what you express, for what you represent. It's not worth your time, and you shouldn't pay attention to haters, the dislikes, mean comments. And when I say this is something obviously none of us know when we're teenagers. Those are like the worst years to get made fun of or to get bullied. And if people are mean to us, we have a really bad self-image, and that's not what we need. It isn't until you get older that you realize that when people are mean to you, it's because that person who's being mean to you is unhappy with themselves in some, aspect of their life. And you really shouldn't just wipe it away, right? Just shake it off and walk away because you don't need it. I like to share my filled out bullet journal spreads, and mostly this is to have extra video content, really, so that I can share with you, but also my spreads from the creation process. Like when I share a monthly bullet journal setup video, I show you the basic like outline of what I've created or the art, but I don't show you how I use those spreads. I don't show you the filled out version. So when I do a bullet journal flip through, it really encompasses everything. And I do try to cover up as much personal information as I can, like, bill payments or how much I get paid, or, everything that doesn't make me comfortable sharing with the internet. But for the most part, I really try to let you guys see everything that I have written in my journal to show you how I use it. I have received comments before that I really use my journal, and I do. A lot of times I run out of room. I'll go on Instagram or YouTube and I'll see other people's bullet journal spreads and they rarely use their bullet journal. Or they say, yeah, that was a bad month. I never used my journal. I wasn't productive that month. But every single day is a huge production for me because I've got 2 kids, I've got my online business, I've added to that. Like, I've got so much on my plate right now that I need an outlet. I need somewhere to write everything down so I don't forget a single thing. And I might be a little crazy because I use a few things. I have a Frankenplant Happy Planner, I use an Erin Condren, I use my bullet journal, and I also use Trello and Asana, almost like a Kanban board. Those programs are super neat, so if you're interested, I'd advise to check it out. This video is not sponsored, but I love good tech when I can find it, and I've learned a lot from a lady named Louise Henry. She's Canadian, but right now she lives outside of Canada. I've pretty much binge watched all of her content, so I'll link her channel if you want to check her out. But she deals a lot with online business, so that's really interesting to me right now. So another challenge that I personally face is it's hard, and take this with a grain of salt because I once had a comment about this topic. I find it hard to come up with original content. So the whole bullet journal community, let's say it, is focused on sharing ideas. And sharing ideas is absolutely amazing. It's knowledge, it's power. Everyone can kind of work off other people's creativity and art and get new ideas and inspiration. But the problem arises when you want to find something original and new and never been done before. And you have to have that extra added je ne sais quoi to make your videos better and make them pop. And it's difficult. And I can see for myself, there's not as much pressure because I have a smaller channel. But for instance, someone like Rachael, who we all know is the bullet journal queen, she kind of started the whole movement, I would say. Well, technically, Ryder Carroll, don't get me wrong, Ryder Carroll started the bullet journal method, but I feel like it didn't really get popular until I had heard about it from Rachael. And I think a lot of people would agree that she kind of made it into this like huge artistic thing. And there's a lot of pressure on her, I would imagine, to really be creative and to do something unique and individual. And mind you, she does have a really big following, and there are a lot of people that give her like awesome ideas. And The one good thing about this though is that you can take an idea that someone has already done. I mean, take the bee theme for instance, or the honeycomb theme. That has been done so much, but you can really truly put your own spin on every single concept. It doesn't have to be the same as anybody else's. And that is what is so unique about art, is that everybody has a different experience, and your history and your experiences have made what you can create different than anyone else's. It's basically judgment. So a lot of people won't even get started on YouTube or any other social media platform because they're afraid of what people are going to say or what people will think. And I find this is common in any form of art, whether it's painting, drawing, even hand lettering. So when you first start, obviously, if you've never practiced before, your art or your lettering isn't going to be as good as someone who's had 10 years of experience. It's the same concept as if you're starting out with an online business, you won't have made any money. Whereas someone who's been doing this for, 5, 10 years, they're going to be at a point where they have 100K month or whatever. Like, numbers are irrelevant at this point, because if you're starting from zero, everybody starts from zero. You can't compare yourself. Take Amanda Rage Leaf again, for instance. She's been doing this for a number of years. And as you can even watch, the best thing to do is to take your favorite YouTuber who does planning and bullet journaling related content, go back to their very first videos and see how their videos are. They're probably not going to show their face, their lettering is going to be like wacky. I mean, even mine, for instance, I have improved so much in the 2 or 3 years I've been doing this for, that, there's only room for improvement, and you should never compare yourself to anybody else. The only person you should be, comparing yourself to is yourself, and try to aim to be better than you were yesterday. Okay, so here's a very important thing that is challenging, and there's really two aspects I want to talk about. So it's copyright infringement. Now, copyright, there's the music aspect, and there's also like copying ideas or copying art from people. So first of all, when you're doing some kind of planner related content or bullet journaling video, most of the time you're filming down on your paper and you're overlooking your art or your book. And sometimes what I'll personally do in my videos, if I'm doing a spread, my spread could be 3 or 4 hours long. And that's how long it will take me, and that's how long the physical video will be. So what I do is I speed up the video and I do a voiceover, so it still looks interesting and cool, but yet the video is now, condensed from 4 hours to 15 minutes, which is a lot more watchable and viewable. A lot of times, if I'm doing a voiceover, there's some dead space or silence, and you need to fill that silence with something, and the best choice is music. So there are some free versions. If you go on YouTube itself, or if you use like iMovie, for instance, they both have free options. Sometimes you will have to link the content or the creator down below in the description box, but what I personally use is Epidemic Sound, and I have talked about this in previous YouTube tip videos before. But basically what it does, any music that you use from that program will be cleared from copyright, and you won't get a copyright infringement. So what happens, say for instance you were to use a well-known song from, Apple Music or something, and YouTube catches that, they'll give you what's called a copyright infringement, and they'll give you a check mark on your channel. So basically that is one strike. You get 3 strikes before they could potentially shut down your YouTube channel, and or you won't be eligible for monetization. So you really have to be careful, and you can't play music. Even if, like, say for instance you're doing a study video or something and you have music playing in the background, you have to be so careful. I've heard of that happening before, and they get shut down, and you just can't afford to have that kind of thing on your channel if you want to succeed. So try to use the free music, and if you can't do that, pay for Epidemic Sound, and I know there are a couple of other ones out there and other platforms. Cover your butt that way. So the other thing I want to talk about, especially when it comes to art and creating stuff in your bullet journals or planners, is copyright infringement by basically taking someone's idea or copying someone's artwork or lettering style. So now in the bullet journal community, like I was just talking about, it's hard. Everybody runs ideas off one another, and someone can do a bee theme, but they don't own the theme of bees, for instance, like even quotes, as long as you quote the person who originally had the quote, there might be somebody who I like to follow on YouTube that will talk about, they'll write a quote in their journal, but I can copy that quote as well. It doesn't make it their own because they used it. So there's a fine line here. So for instance, if someone creates an original piece of art and you go and do the same thing and you publish it on YouTube and you make money off of it, is that copyright? The line is very thin right there. And I've heard of, like, there's two separate things. For instance, one, I can't remember who it was, and they had drawn a chocolate covered strawberry and used a particular reference photo, and then another girl had done the same thing, used the same reference photo, and had done a chocolate covered strawberry, and she got slack for it from her viewers and from the other person's viewers because they said, you copied her artwork. She didn't, and they actually accused her of like photocopying it and then posting it on her channel and saying she did it, but she did do her own. So that's the huge no-no that I kind of take away from that is, you can't photocopy something and then pass it on as your own art. Or, a lot of us will get inspiration from Pinterest, and you can't take that photo and say, yep, and then draw it and then say that you came up with that idea. So what I always try to do is I say I got inspiration from so and so and so and so. I'll put their names down in the description box, and I would never take credit for someone else's art or artistic expression, or even their font if I was doing lettering techniques or something. So just be always really, really careful to tell who your inspiration was from, who originally did it, if you can track down the original creator, and just always make sure to cover your back all the time. And another thing that you can do is, if you go into your settings under YouTube, you can actually put like your name on your artwork, and you can do the same thing in photos, just so that people know that that's your artwork and nobody can copy it. And honestly, I don't really think it's necessary, but I have been seeing creators do it on Instagram and YouTube. So if that's something that you're concerned about, I would advise to go ahead and do that. But yeah, just make sure you cover your butt. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is buying stuff. And this is, you have to really have good self-control here. And I think Cindy Gunther Baldo says this a lot when she does these videos about buying stuff, or just like an anti-haul type video. So basically, if you do unboxing videos or if you do hauls, and a lot of stationery channels will do this, planner channels will do this, because if your entire channel is about bullet journals or stationery or planners, that's what you're going to be buying. And most of the time you will be buying this stuff in abundance, more than what you need. And so for instance, I have almost every kind of brush pen available that is a good brand. And yes, I use them, but do I really need like 15 types of brush pens? And my excuse for that is because I do reviews on these brush pens, it helps me make content for you guys so you can watch them and find out whether or not they're worthwhile to buy. So the problem comes in is, number one, these things cost money and they're not cheap. This kind of relates to what I was saying in a previous video, which I'll link for you, is when you first start out, don't buy all the things. I know it might be hard, and I fell in that trap when I first started. I did buy everything all at once because, number one, I'm already a stationery hoarder. I love pens, I love paper and stickers. I've always loved that stuff since I was a kid, and I've already had a problem. But when I started creating videos and creating stuff, I would watch other videos and they'd say, you need this because of this. So I would go and buy it too, or I really liked it. I remember watching Amanda Rachel's stationery haul, or not her stationery haul, it was her entire collection. And there was a whole bunch of pens I didn't have yet. So I went to Amazon and I got them. Remember, it costs money. And if you don't stick with your YouTube channel, you're basically buying all this stuff for no reason at all. So just make sure that YouTube is something that you want to do before you start buying anything of like anything expensive, I guess, because really everybody always says when you start a bullet journal, all you need is a notebook and a pen. That kind of leads into the second part of that, is when you buy all that stuff, you need a place to store it. I've made this joke in the past where I said, if I buy much else, I'm going to have to move out of my house and move into the garage or buy a new house just to store all my crap. It's not that bad yet. I have found storage solutions, but if you want to maintain like a neat and orderly house where you don't have stuff sticking out of every nook and cranny, don't buy everything. I tell you right now. And so then you end up owning much more than you need, and which is kind of where I'm at right now. I do use a lot of my products. The really like the stuff that I don't like, if I give a bad review on something, most of the time I'll give it to my kids to use. Like, say it's a marker, for instance, I'll give it to my son so he can do coloring for school or for in coloring books. But for the most part, most of the things I do own, they do get used. And I do have like tons of bullet journals, tons of journals, but I mean, those things don't go bad and I'll eventually use them. Another thing you could do if you want to is a giveaway. And so I have done that in the past, and I'm currently have a giveaway. The giveaway I'm working on now actually ends May 18th. So by the time this video goes live, it might be over. That is another thing that you can do. Okay, so the last thing I want to discuss is the problem of living up to expectations in your bullet journal. And I guess this is mostly, I guess it could be planner or bullet journal related. And it's just one of the main difficulties of having a YouTube channel when doing bullet journaling and planning. So you might look on Pinterest, you might look on Instagram or YouTube, and you'll see all of these other amazing spreads that you want to copy, or copy is a bad word. You want to also create something similar. And the expectation versus the reality, you see those people, they have pictures of like this enormously famous beautiful artwork, and then they're like stickman drawing next to it. So not just that, because again, we're each harder on ourselves than other people would be. So I think that you would judge yourself harsher than other people, but also that I think there's too much pressure in the stationary bullet journaling planner community. Your artwork has to be this beautiful, Instagram worthy spread that is just, worthy of reposting and worthy of likes and worthy of other people giving you comments of how gorgeous it is. I think that you should create whatever you want to based on what you need. Ryder Carroll first invented the bullet journal method to make his life better, basically, to organize his life, to simplify it, basically, to get the mess from your head onto paper so that you don't have to worry about all that stuff. And it's not a bad thing. Like, Amanda Rachel, some of her spreads are pretty simple and they're not like crazy artistic. And then she will post crazy artistic spreads and everybody wants to do something similar. It's good because people are allowed to, express their artistic fashion in whatever they want, like their artistic form in whatever they want. And it's beautiful to see other people creating beautiful works of art. But then the followers or the subscribers want to create something similar, and then there's pressure on themselves because if it doesn't work out as good or doesn't look as nice, then you feel upset because you're like, well, why can't I do something like that? And so we're pretty much placing ourselves into this box of trying to, make our content as beautiful as so and so. And this is again where I say, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Your planner spreads or your bullet journal spreads need to reflect who you are, and everyone's an individual. So why try to be like somebody else? Don't do the same things as other people. You can get inspiration for sure, but inspiration is a lot different than copying someone or being the same as somebody. And the whole point of YouTube and what you bring to the table is hopefully you have something different to bring to the table and people will like you for you, not you being like somebody else, if that makes sense. I've seen a trend, and I've mentioned this before as well. I definitely see a trend where a lot of people are just giving up their bullet journals and they're like, yeah, it's too much work, I'm gonna do something else. And that's fine, like you can do whatever you want, but I think the reason for that is, there's too much pressure to create something amazing and beautiful. And really, your bullet journal should be whatever you want it to be. The very first video I've ever watched on that was by Rachael. She is living out of Scotland. I'll link her channel if you want to check her out. I don't watch a lot of her content, but everything she does with bullet journals, I love to watch. And the particular video that I love, like I've watched it repeatedly, I'm going to link it down in the description box because I can't link it in like on the screen for you. Her accent is lovely, and I go back to that video every time I need a little inspiration to kind of bring myself back down a notch. Also, the other thing I want to say is, because there are a lot of people quitting, I think too, if you do the same thing over and over and over, and you get bored, and then people say, well, it's just not working for me, so I'm going to quit. And quitting is usually never the answer unless, something's really stressing you out, like a job or something. So, my tip for that is to change it up. Like, why keep it the same? If something's not working for you, just change it. And you'll see me do that in my bullet journal spreads quite often. So, one time I'll do weeklies, and then another month I will go back to my dailies. I'll leave spreads out, I'll add new spreads. Sometimes I will do like a 5 or 6 hour painting and then post that or paste that into my bullet journal and just to have a really decorative spread. And then other times I'll do everything in black and white. What I do depends on how I'm feeling that month, depends on the time that I have, because I am a mom of 2 kids and I am crazy busy all the time. So I think it just comes down to a lot of factors, and you have to do what's best for you. And I think that all of these challenges with having a YouTube channel that reflects like planning stuff and bullet journaling stuff, it can be scary, and you really have to bring yourself back and just think about what you're doing. So whether that's, buying all of the stickers or going to Michael's every day to see what else they have new. I have done that in the past. One of the best things that you can do is wait till things go on sale if you want to save money, but still also have the stickers or the planners. And I know it's hard because there's a thing called FOMO. It's fear of missing out. So when other people post videos about, like Happy Planner Spring Haul or Happy Planner going back to school haul, even when all the Erin Condren products were released as of school, like I think it was April, they were released. I didn't even look at the website because I can't. I don't need another planner right now. And so I just turned it off. I didn't look at it. And it does take motivation. It takes a certain amount of strength, I guess, for lack of a better word, to not look at websites. And those pesky emails that you get to remind you to like go back and check out whatever they've got launching, just turn this up, like unsubscribe from the email. I do that a lot because every website designer will put that on there to try to get you on an email list, so they keep sending you emails. And then you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, I love Simply Gilded, but I get emails all the time and I find it difficult. I look at the email, see the beautiful washi tape on there, and I'm like, ooh, I need more. But I really don't. I really don't. And so we just have to be mindful of all of the things we're doing. Keep yourself in check. Don't compare your art and your work to anybody else's, because you're on your own journey. You're not living your life for somebody else. And you can always aspire to be better and get inspiration from an outside source, but just try not to compare yourself, because you are you and you're perfect just the way you are. So I hope this video kind of gives you some insights to all of the challenges that a YouTuber doing planning videos or bullet journaling videos would experience. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I would love if you would consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.